Hi, friends. Here we are. Another Kali Yuga conversation. Last week was so potent for many of us. There were requests to do this again. So I actually I have a very intuitively driven life, and I have been, everything that I'm sharing publicly these days has been a result of a lot of guidance, a lot of prayer to just making sure I'm hearing the guidance correctly. Everything I do publicly has gone through an extensive amount of discernment as to if I'm hearing things correctly from my divine orders, getting it super clear, and finding out, determining the best ways to make this as digestible as possible to as many people as possible. So I really feel like my life has been divinely designed to be a translator of the ancient wisdoms and mysteries, so that, hey, Avina, nice to see you back, sister, and Miss Danielle Caruso. So my life has been a pretty weird one, and actually, oddly, my life is so weird, and it just continues to get more weird because I feel like I have been literally designed and trained and born for something like we're experiencing right now on the planet. And so with that being said, these ancient mysteries and secrets of the universe that have literally been secret, have been secret for as long as they've been on this planet. They have been secret until now. And you can see these secrets being released. And when I say the now, I mean like now, today, now, but I also mean like, let's say in the last few decades, 60s, 1960s, 70s, 80, like everything has been intensifying as to how much of these ancient secrets are being released due to the state of the planet. So you see the Tibetan teachings that were never allowed for people like you and I. And those are coming out rapid fire these days. The secret teachings, the highest level teachings. You see this with the medicine traditions in South and Central America. Those traditions as well were not for Westerners, of course, and certainly not for people outside of the tribes. But because of the necessity, those things are available. And so what I'm going to share today, and what I'm going to share in each of these Kali conversations, is in that line of wisdom where these things have been secret for many good reasons, and they also are secrets on how we're going to pass through this prophesized time. Devi Saraswati, nice to see you, sister. Wow, long time. So for me, being one who has walked in these secret realms for many years and really understand the reason for Samaya. Samaya means our commitments to secrecy amongst all the other different lineage secrets. For me, I just want to say this is really uncomfortable. It's scary. It's pushing the edges. It's going against my rules of secrecy just to keep myself feeling safe and hidden and fitting in to the rest of the world so that I can just like, hey, darling, theater. So yeah, these secrets are secrets for a reason, and I have had them secret for many reasons personally and for the lineages. And however, I'm getting the memo so loud and clear that it's time to actually share about this incredible time in her and his story on the planet and for our global community. And the ancient wisdoms of India call this particular epoch of time, or this arc of time, or this 12,000 to 120,000 year cycle, depending on who you talk about. They call this Kali Yuga. So Yuga, there are many yugas, and we are right now in a particular yuga, Kali Yuga. And so this yuga we are seeing today the very precise characteristics of Kali Yuga. And so the veils have lifted and it's time to reveal the codes. Yeah, totally. So like, that's what Avina just said. To be honest, I have been having, and maybe some of you have as well, I have been having, since January, really, since those eclipses, I've been having very bizarre, like energetic experiences, a lot of extra tired, a lot of just really weird, unique things. And I think there's part of what's going on is a lot of us our energy bodies are being updated and redesigned and codes awakening. So let's get back to Kali Yuga. So Kali, so there's all these various archetypes, goddesses, feminine forms all over the world. So Kali, K-A-L-I, Kali, she is one of the great universal mothers. In fact, many would call her the mother of the universe, depending on who you're talking to. So each tradition has their own creation stories. And so Kali, she is, and I'm going to read from this book today, and so you get your own little taste of it, not out of my mouth, but out of a master's mouth. But essentially, she is, she's out for our best good. I mean, all these goddesses, you know, these high mother level goddesses, they're out for our best good. They're looking out for us. And the deal with Kali is that she is very misunderstood because she looks terrifying. She is terrifying. She's wrathful. She's black. She's got weapons. She's carrying a freshly cut head. She's got all this stuff going on. And so at first glance, she turns a lot of people away. But when we look deeper at her symbology, and in regards to also her yuga, her epoch of time that we're living in, it's kind of like, oh, wow, she's really got our back in anything. And her ultimate duty is, like what my outline today for us all, let me find that, is the ultimate universal truth. So cutting away illusions that keep us from being in our highest. So let me just get back to the outline for today. How did I say it? So anyway, Kali represents the ultimate universal truths. Now, we may have our personal agendas of like, oh, well, my truth is I want to have a nice car and I want to get married by age 32, and those are my truths. And you know, sorry, those are not universal truths. Every person has come here with a soul purpose aligned to universal truths. And what's happening now is Kali is making sure that we as a collective and as individuals are abiding by universal truths, which also means, so she's cutting out illusions. And because our society and the world has been built up on a lot of illusions right now, you know, for how many centuries have humans been building upon greed, lies, misuse of power? I mean, all these things. And Kali's just like, are you serious? Are you serious all? It's time to level this out and get back to universal truth. So that is Kali's job. So, and she's not doing it out of punishing anyone. She's just simply maintaining universal truth, universal law. And she really could care less about our personal truths. She really, our relative personal truths, she could seriously care less. So anyway, so this is the book I'm going to read from today. Robert Svoboda is one of the world's premier wisdom carriers of wisdom from India. And so he wrote this book about his teacher. So his teacher basically transcribed this book to him, and then we will get to have the words from Robert Svoboda's master teacher. So you'll see Kali on first glance, she is looking really scary, but you can see in her face, she's actually got love and a little smile. And now most Kali, a lot of Kalis, you're not going to see a smile. But you'll see she has all these weapons, but then at the same time, she's offering bounty and blessings. And as I talked about last time, she has mudras communicating to you that mudras are hand symbols communicating to her goodwill and don't fear her. She's just got her back in anything. Now, I do not recommend this book to most people. There are some folks who are turned on the dark channel, like Mr. Eli Morgan, who just popped on. You might be interested in this book, but most people, I'm not going to say read this book. But I've picked out a few things that are particularly of value for us today. So let's see here. I just want to, and by the way, if you have any questions at any point, feel free to ask questions. I'll have a specific towards the end of jumping off. I'm going to have a specific little Q&A time. But I'm just going to read my outline here. So the topic, your relative truths and the non-negotiable universal truths. So non-negotiable universal truths, as I spoke about last week, there's a few real basic ones. So if you took a physics class in high school, you learned that the universe is full of energy. And energy never dies, it just transforms. So that's kind of like us and our mental capacity and our energy. So it doesn't die, it just transforms. And then every action, another thing that we learned in physics class, is every action has a reaction. So if you're doing positive action, you're going to have positive reaction. If you do negative action, you will have thus negative action. And so this is essentially karma in a super simplified definition. Now, the interesting thing though about in this worldview that I'm sharing today, along with the Tibetan tradition, so both of these traditions really understand and teach based upon karma. And so the thing that's really interesting about karma and about these energies is that just because we die and this body expires, that doesn't mean the karma has expired. And as my Dakini teacher says, she's like, what's her quote? Her quote exactly is, even if it takes 100,000 eons, that karma will still be fulfilled. So meaning we can't get away from our karma, positive or negative. That's a huge conversation in itself. I'm happy to go into it, but I'm just dropping a seed right now. So that's basically one of the non-negotiable universal truths. Other non-negotiable universal truths is if something is born, it has a life and it has a death. And those are the cycles. We call them the three faces of Shakti. Shakti is feminine creative power, universal feminine creative energy in the Indian tradition system. And so again, those are universal non-negotiable truths. Everything that is born will have a life and has a death. So we can't be too surprised that we're going to die someday. And so why not just prepare? Like, we have a whole entire lifetime to prepare to how are we going to intelligently and with as much awareness die And like the Tibetan masters or yogic masters, they actually can then plan where they will be reborn again. Another conversation. But just kind of throwing out relative truths versus non-negotiable universal truths. So your relative truth just does not have weight unless you align your truth to universal truth. And that's part of what we're talking about here today.